There's a strange kind of silence that comes in the middle of noise. You're in a crowded room, your phone buzzing, notifications lighting up, the hum of voices surrounding you, yet inside, it's empty, numb, hollow. Have you ever felt that? Like you're everywhere, except present within yourself. It's as if the world has become louder with every passing day, and the louder it gets, the more disconnected you feel. From others, from meaning, from who you used to be. Now imagine something else. A quiet cabin deep in the woods. No signal, no schedule. Just you, the sound of wind through trees, your breath rising and falling, and the company of your own thoughts. What if that kind of silence wasn't something to fear, but something to reclaim? What if solitude isn't loneliness, but the forgotten cure your mind has been begging for? In modern life, we're constantly connected. Notifications, texts, meetings, media. We've wired ourselves into a system that never sleeps. The average American checks their phone nearly 100 times a day. We're more available than ever, and yet more mentally exhausted, more emotionally scattered, and more spiritually distant than any generation before us. We've been taught to fear being alone, to interpret solitude as failure. If you're not surrounded by people, if you're not constantly interacting, updating, engaging, you must be missing something. You must be falling behind. But here's the paradox. The more we surround ourselves with noise, the less we hear ourselves. The more we stay connected, the more we feel disconnected from meaning, from clarity, from the quiet certainty that comes from within. And that disconnection leads to burnout, to confusion, to a subtle but constant ache that we can't quite name. We distract ourselves from it. We drown it in content, in conversations, in caffeine. But it doesn't go away. It waits quietly until we're alone again. That's not weakness, that's a signal, a call to come back to ourselves. The ancient Stoics understood something we've forgotten. They didn't just tolerate solitude, they embraced it. They saw it not as an escape from life, but as a return to what is essential. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." He knew that the real refuge isn't a cabin in the mountains or a beach far from the city. It's the stillness you cultivate inside. That space no one can touch, no demand can reach. A retreat that's always available if you know how to access it. Seneca, his predecessor, put it even more directly. Solitude relieves us when we are sick of company. He didn't say solitude was better, he said it was necessary. Not to reject the world, but to renew our relationship with it. And then there's Epictetus, who reminded us that the mind is master of itself, meaning no matter what chaos swirls outside, the mind has the power to remain untouched, trained properly. Solitude, to him, was where that training begins. To the Stoics, stillness wasn't a luxury, it was discipline, a moral obligation. Because without it, we lose ourselves in the noise of others. Without it, we forget how to live by reason, not reaction. Without it, we drift anchored to nothing. So what do we do with this wisdom? Not all of us can disappear into the woods. Not everyone has the luxury to escape. But solitude isn't about geography. It's about intention. You don't need to run away from the world to find stillness. You just need to make space within it. Because in a world that demands constant attention, stillness is a rebellion. And solitude is how you reclaim your mind. Here's how you begin. A simple framework. 3 words. Retreat, reconnect, rise. This isn't about isolation, it's about calibration. It's how you learn to live with the world without letting it drown you. First, retreat. Step back, not forever, just long enough to hear yourself again. Give yourself 30 minutes a day with no screen, no conversation, no background noise. Go for a walk without headphones. Sit in a room with the window open and nothing else. Just be. You'll be shocked at how loud your thoughts have become and how little space they've been given to breathe. Don't expect peace right away. At first, it might feel unbearable, boring, restless. That's okay. That discomfort is detox. You're not escaping something. You're confronting what's been neglected inside you. Ask yourself, when I'm not reacting to anyone, who am I? Second, reconnect. Now that you've cleared space, listen. Write down what you're feeling. Don't filter. Don't perform. Journaling, meditating, even just watching your breaths are ways to return to the conversation with your own soul. You don't need solutions. You need presence. The Stoics believed in this kind of quiet reflection. Marcus wrote to himself daily. Seneca drafted letters, often never meant to be sent. They weren't sharing, they were sharpening, reconnecting with their inner compass. You can do the same. Ask yourself, what have I been avoiding? What have I not allowed myself to feel? Third, rise. Solitude isn't the destination. It's the reset, the training ground. Once you've returned to yourself, you re-enter the world, not reactive but rooted. You speak slower, but with more clarity. You listen deeper. You walk through the noise with a silence that can't be shaken. You stop letting the world dictate your worth or direction. You've touched something more permanent yourself. Now every action, every word becomes a choice, not an echo. Ask yourself, am I responding or am I just reacting? That's the power of solitude. It returns agency to your life. Let me tell you about Julia. She's 32, a high-performing marketing executive in New York City, the kind of person who lives in motion meetings, deadlines, clients, social events. From the outside, she had it all together, but inside, she was unraveling. It happened during a pitch meeting. Her vision blurred, her breath shortened, her chest tightened. Panic. Right there in front of her team, she had to step out. She couldn't explain it, just that something inside her had reached a breaking point. Out of desperation, she signed up for a 5-day silent retreat, upstate. No phones, no talking, no agenda, just silence. The first 2 days were agony. She felt twitchy, irritable, trapped. But something shifted on day 3. She started noticing things she hadn't in years. The way sunlight moved across the floor, the rhythm of her own breath, the quiet ache she'd been carrying but never named. On the 5th morning, she sat under a tree and cried, not out of sadness but relief. She later wrote in her journal, "For the first time in years, I could actually hear myself, and the voice inside wasn't screaming. It was whispering, 'You've been gone, welcome back.'" Today, Julia still lives in the city, but every Sunday night, she does a silent reset. No tech, no talking, just time to reconnect. And she says that simple ritual has done more for her mental health than any productivity hack ever could. Stillness isn't weakness. Solitude isn't retreat. In a world that constantly screams for your attention, the quiet mind becomes your greatest power. You don't need to move to the mountains. You don't need to disappear. You just need to begin by turning inward, even for a moment. So here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, carve out 30 minutes to be alone. No phone, no music, no distractions. Just you and your thoughts. Let the silence speak. Let your mind settle. See what rises. If this message found you at the right time, it's probably because a part of you is ready to return to yourself. Subscribe if you're walking this path too. Not toward escape, but toward mastery, toward presence, toward peace. Welcome to the Stillness Forge.